Hi there. Welcome to the Imperfect Profit podcast for women who wonder. Frankly, as we go through life, I'm sure we wonder about a great deal. First as little kids, then as adolescents, then as young women, then as transitional women. What are we calling ourselves these days? And then you get to this point in life, or my point in life, when you're postmenopausal and wondering what's next. Wondering if the parade already passed you by. Join me, Wonder Wendy. I'm going to be your host as we talk about some of these unique challenges that face women today in a new millennium, going through menopause and trying to live a rich, full life. There might even be a few men and younger women that want to listen in too. That's okay. But there's a roller coaster and we're all on it. And I'm going to be your guide to help you figure out when you should close your eyes, when you should hang on, and maybe we'll explore some ideas for what works for you if it doesn't work for me, or vice versa. So join the conversation, pick up your favorite beverage, and we'll talk to you soon. Welcome to the Imperfect Profit. Hey there, everybody. I went to my first Phoenix Mercury game last week, and at one point I referred to our seats as being on the 50-yard line. Now, in my defense, they were excellent seats. We were right on the court in the second row. So I had people in front of me to block the ball. Thank God. And, well, I was obviously comically incorrect. Nobody died because I didn't fully understand basketball terminology. And if basketball isn't your jam either, let me clarify that the Phoenix Mercury is a professional women's basketball team. So the fact that I used a football terminology somehow makes this even more comical, I think. I laughed. The people I said it to seemed to appreciate my sense of humor. But it did make me think about a whole lot of things. You know, there's a delicate balance between having a sense of humor about what you don't know and accidentally dismissing or disrespecting something that may carry very deep meaning for the people around you. And for those people in the arena, the vast majority of them, basketball is not casual entertainment. It's their life. It's their history, their community, their passion, their identity, their memory, all of their connections. They love this game. And honestly, I think that's part of becoming a more wonderful human being, learning how to enter unfamiliar spaces with curiosity instead of arrogance. You don't have to pretend you know everything, but be careful not to mock what matters to other people. I've been on both sides of that. And you don't have to be an expert to allow yourself to participate. And once you know that, the world is open to you. It's a very different energy. One closes doors and says, "Oh, I don't like it. I don't get it. Keep it over there." The other opens possibility. Really, which one do you want in your life? So many of us avoid experiences because we are terrified of that awkward moment. So I want you to say yes before you understand. So how did I, a person who has attended one professional basketball game in my entire life prior to this, end up at the opening night for the Phoenix Mercury in downtown Phoenix? I was invited. As I've mentioned before, I'm part of a fashion collaborative, and through that, we get many exciting opportunities because, we get to live the glamorous life. Yeah, I've told you about that too. Backstage, not the glamorous life at all. But they have a block of tickets for the basketball games, and I got to go. We were, like I said, courtside, like on the wood in a folding chair, second row, literally on that. Well, I kept calling it the 50-yard line because I don't actually know what it's called in basketball, but that center court line, that one that divides it equally in half, right? Where they have the first tip-off. And we had club access, amazing food, amazing beverages, amazing bar service. It was so good. And here I was with a group of fashionable friends, some who really just came to have the experience and some who really love basketball. And we were all given a dress code. Yes, it's a basketball game, but come in the team colors fashionably. Purple, orange, and black. That's our color code. So I wore a purple dress, my purple boots, and put a great big orange bow in my hair. It was kind of silly and kind of fashionable and fun. Anyway, there we were in our sporty, glamorous outfits, all wearing the right colors. And we had this excitement of stepping into a world that was completely unfamiliar. Do you know when you have club access, you actually get a special entrance on the side of the arena? Much less fuss, much less muss. They escort you right into the club and you are treated like you are royalty. I loved it. What else can I say? Now it was opening night. So there is a special opening night season opener. That's what you call it in sports, right? Boy, you can tell I'm a theater nerd, huh? So that first night of the season, there's a magic to it. They have special lighting. They have this stage where each of the players comes out and they're introduced, going, whoa, cranked up music, flamethrowers. That's kind of wild, a little scary, and very hot when you're close to them. There's an element of performance and anticipation. And what I know, because, I've gone to a lot of baseball games. Opening game, opening day of the season, everybody's a winner. Unlimited potential. It really is so exciting. Now, our group was split up between a couple different seats. So I'm seated with one person I know, sort of. Don't even know him that well. And he's a male fashion designer. And he's dressed very nicely, very pleasant human being. But he may have understood even less about basketball than I did. You kind of have to work at that. But we found things to talk about because, we could say good shot when the ball got in the hoop thing. And we had a basic understanding of the different point zones. Can't figure out the difference between, what do they call it? Fouls and just being pushy. They seem very aggressive all the time to me. So why sometimes it's not allowed, I can't even begin to explain that. But our common ground, me and this designer sitting next to me, we evaluated the dancers' outfits. And how they were styled, their hair, their makeup. Because, it had a strong 90s Spice Girl vibe, which I know is retro right now. So I guess in a weird way, it was perfectly on trend. But there were they're not cheerleaders, they're dancers, right? Out there strutting their stuff, doing their thing, twerking their twerk. I don't know, whatever it is they're doing, but they did it well. They got the spirit up in the gym. And their presentation and performance, well, that was accessible to us. We understood that. And when you think about it, everyone comes in with a slightly different lens on the game. Another woman I talked to, who I still don't know her name, but she sat to my left and we talked a little bit, said she loved being in the arena because it was so queer friendly. And she just really enjoyed being there, even though she didn't know much about basketball either. So everybody has their own reason. But the two women sitting in front of me, they were definitely die-hard fans. For whatever reason, they were allowed to inspect the ball before the first tip-off. I don't even know if that's a thing or if it was a special honor for them or if they're alumni. But they were definitely people who saw the basketball game. They understood the game. I saw storytelling, fashion, energy, performance. I was looking at the facial expressions of the players. And I kind of have a low-key love of reading their lips and trying to understand what they're saying to the officials. Because when they get called for doing a foul, I think that's what it's called. And, at first they're like, okay, you got me, whatever. But then once in a while, you see their lips make the shape of WTF. And They don't really think they did what the official is calling them for. It's kind of fun. And then there's this sense of community. Somebody makes the 3-point shot and it goes in and everybody goes, whoa. Or somebody makes the 3-point shot and it doesn't go in. And there's a collective, oh, that groan, that sense of loss that we all share, no matter how much we know about the game. It's kind of fun. But there were the two of us, designer and me, and we're basically watching Project Runway with a basketball game happening in the background. That's okay, right? But let's go back to what I was discussing at the beginning. How many adults, and maybe even younger people, but adults are particularly guilty of this, reject things they don't immediately understand? And maybe that's sports. I have a lot of female friends who say, well, that's sports. I don't do sports. And they're cutting themselves off from a whole lot of the world. I'm trying to learn to say, I haven't watched a lot of it because I don't really understand it. And if somebody volunteers to teach me, I'll go take the lesson. If it's fun, I might go again. If it's not fun, I might politely decline again in the future. How about fashion? I used to have a friend who would say, why do you wear those pointy things on the bottom of your feet? He was mocking my high-heeled shoes. And I think it's because he's a guy who basically wore beat-up blue jeans and flannel shirts, and he was very uncomfortable in the world of fashion. But remember how I discussed earlier that weird boundary between saying, I don't understand, and mocking somebody else's passion? He kind of fell into that area of mocking someone else's passion. It was uncomfortable. It made it hard for me to hang out with him because he was judging me in a weird reverse sort of way. And if I'd done the same thing to the way he dressed, he would have been offended. But he liked being casual, and I encourage people to dress in a way that makes them feel comfortable. But if I invite you to an event which requires respectful attire for the level of event we're attending, I do expect you to show up like you're trying. Now, I'm not saying you have to wear stilettos like I do. Actually, I don't wear stilettos. My feet don't seem to like them. I'm not saying you have to wear high heels like I'm doing. But if you're going to wear your Converse sneakers with that styled up attire, please make sure it's a brand new or very clean pair of Converse. That is societally respectful. You can wear Converse on the red carpet, but they need to be in good shape. And by Converse, I mean sneakers. I guess I'm showing my inherent bias. And people do the same thing with art. I mean, ugh, that's ugly. Well, okay. If it's hanging in a museum, apparently it's not ugly to everybody. I'll respect that you don't find it attractive. But remember, somebody else thinks that's artistically important. So, my favorite line? Interesting. I don't think I see it in my house, though. That's okay. You're allowed to not want something in your house. Even the Mona Lisa, security risk. I mean, what a pain in the ass. You really don't want the Mona Lisa in your house, right? And everybody want to come over. All they'd ever want to do is see the Mona Lisa. The security guards, the flame, not worth having. I don't want the Mona Lisa in my house. Wine. Not everybody likes wine. Not everybody likes alcohol. And what do we say? That's okay. Just be open-minded. And if you can't or don't want it, respectfully decline. And say, I love that you're enjoying it. And I'm going to have this glass of water. Or whatever it is your choice. Rejecting new technology, theater, all these things. Travel. I have people who crave travel to weird and unique places. And I like some of that, but some of them are like, I think I can skip that one. Thank you. How about religion? Got to be pretty open-minded. but you can have your own boundary lines. And then people say things like, I really don't like that. Do you really not like it, or is it just not your taste? And please don't use the word hate. I hate that. Really? Or would you just rather not eat it, watch it, see it? It's just not to your taste. That's okay. Why be negative? And you feel like you have to have an opinion, so you feel like you're informed. Well, it's okay to say that's not my thing. Or I don't know much about that. Or how about this? Open the door. Can you tell me what you like about that? And learn from the other person. Don't fall into the trap of behaving a certain way because you don't know the rules and you're afraid of looking stupid. It's okay to not know everything. I've never heard of that. Tell me more. It's okay. And you know what? Once in a while, somebody's going to look at you and go, how have you missed this? I don't know. I must have missed school that day. It's okay. When we're children, we are very open to learning constantly. But as we transition into adulthood, some people avoid, should we call it beginnerhood? I don't know, at all costs. They just don't want to try anything new for fear of failure and looking stupid. And I've seen a lot of people who do this. You're not alone if you've fallen into this trap, and even I have done it too. Many women stop trying new things. Many people stop trying new things because they feel they should already know. It's embarrassing to admit that you never learned to swim. But if you never learned to swim, it's okay. There are adult lessons. Or ride a bike. There's so many basic things that so many people don't know how to do it. And that's okay. Like that basketball game. I don't know that I could do a free throw, the shot and get it in the basket. I really don't. I'd probably look really stupid and need a lot of instruction. And it's embarrassing to try something new. And you know what? I've worked so hard to learn everything I know, and I know I'm good at so much. Why should I do something that makes me look stupid and inexperienced? We become a victim of our own competency. And I don't want you to do that ever, because competence is useful, but curiosity is life-giving. Let me say that again. Competence is useful, but curiosity is life-giving. And I want you to have a big, bold, wonderful life. That wonderful bucket list life requires curiosity far more than expertise. Now, here's something interesting I also discovered. There is a surprising overlap between fashion and sports. I know, stick with me here. Both have performance. Both have their own sports style. I mean, those fans had a definite dress code. Some were in t-shirts and shorts, and some had a very definite color-coded aesthetic. And it was theirs, and they owned it. They have a sense of identity, creativity. There is a ritual to how they do it. Some have lucky earrings or lucky bracelets or a lucky t-shirt or lucky socks or favorite shoes. And they have community in that. It's still self-expression. And looking at those dancers, there's still spectacle. There's still an incredible show happening around the game. Remember what I said about how the players respond to the referees? That too is part of the show. Not that they're doing it particularly as a show, but they understand there are times when you don't piss off the referee. And there are times when you fight for your rights. And coaches do the same thing, going to bat for their players. Wait, I'm slipping into baseball again. Going in and arguing on behalf of their players. Being ejected because they got too loud and too aggressive with the referee. But that showed the team that they care. There is definitely theater to this. And there's styling to this. I mean, every woman on that court playing basketball had made conscious decisions of how to handle her hair, whether it was keeping it short so it's out of the way, having little braids, ponytails, sweatbands, so many styling choices that dealt with the complexities of being a woman and still being a professional athlete. Fashion isn't limited to the red carpet or the runway. Fashion can be on the street, and it was just a collective energy. And I love that. So I want you to remember, sports and fashion are not opposites. They are both forms of storytelling, both visually, through words, and the staging. So take what you know and be comfortable in this new environment and translate it through your lens. And don't be afraid to ask questions. So when you have a chance, when someone says, "Hey, I've got 2 tickets to go see," fill in the blank. I want you to go to the game or take the class, attend the concert, try the hobby, walk into an unfamiliar room and ask questions. Just be a beginner again. And you could say, "Okay, new to this, not going to guarantee a great outcome, but I am going to have fun doing this. And please tell me more." Expanding your life sometimes starts with simply tolerating that you don't know everything. And you don't need expertise to experience joy. Sometimes you can have the most fun just diving into the mud and playing. That doesn't take rules. That doesn't take learning. It just takes desire to have fun. Somewhere during that game, while I was still pretending I understood basketball terminology, I learned something else. The most difficult shot on the court is worth 3 points. And honestly, that feels like life. The things that ask the most courage from us, the things that are furthest outside of our comfort zone, the things we are most afraid to miss, often carry the greatest reward. Maybe that's why so many people stay emotionally parked at, well, the free throw line. Because when you're at the free throw line, that's when somebody's done a foul or whatever, and you get to start from that line, and nobody's in front of you. Nobody's between you and the basket. All you have to do is that layup and get it in. That gets you a whole point. Just 1 point, but it gets you a point. You're close enough to feel safe. You're close enough to feel competent, close enough to avoid missing publicly, you'd hope. I know I couldn't do it. And quite frankly, the number of missed free throws I saw during that game kind of surprised me. I mean, if you played basketball all the time, how hard is it to do one little layup like that from the same distance, same place, no obstacles, every single time? And yet they miss sometimes. Matter of fact, I looked up at one point, somebody pointed out the statistics that are shown up in the thing, and the Mercury were only making 36% of their shots. They're professionals, and they're only making 36% of their shots. Why do you expect more from yourself? I digress again. Anyway, those shots worth 3 points. Those require distance. More players are circling in front of you, so there's a great deal more risk. And once you've let go of that ball, the odds that the opposing team is going to take it and run for their basket and make a point increase. So there's a whole lot going on. And to do it, you need courage and the willingness to miss sometimes. But again, the wonderful bucket list life sometimes asks you to take the longer shot, to risk looking uninformed, to risk missing, and to risk not immediately being good at something. Ugh, it's so hard to realize that expansion rarely happens inside the boundaries of what you really know. Oh, we talked about that just a couple weeks ago. Repot yourself. You need more space for growth. Yeah. And here's the thing. The Phoenix Mercury were only making 36% of their shots. That means for almost for every 3 shots, they actually scored. once. 1 out of 3 times. The opposition, the Lynx from Minnesota, they were making 50% of their shots. In other words, out of every 2 shots, they scored once. Whew, you'd think the Minnesota Lynx would have creamed the Phoenix Mercury. But no, the Phoenix Mercury were making more shots and more high-value shots. So, for most of the game, they were in the lead up until the last quarter. There are only 4 quarters in a basketball game. I had to remind myself of that after watching way too many I've been to a lot of baseball games of late. Baseball games, 9 innings, and basketball, 4 quarters. It gets confusing in my brain sometimes because I'm like, oh, we're only on the 3rd, so we got a long way to go yet. Oh, wait, in basketball, that's 3 quarters of the way through. Got it. Anyway, in the last quarter, I digressed again, I apologize. The Minnesota Lynx had been behind for the first 3 quarters. Not significantly, but consistently behind. And in the last quarter, they just kind of put on a little more gas. And in the end, the game ended with the Mercury losing and the final score 88-84. A difference of 4 points. That's 1 free throw and 1 3-point shot that would have tied it up. Whew, that's heartbreaking. To be so close, to be that good, and to know if they made just a small fraction more of their shots successfully, they would have handily won that game. A lot to learn there, huh? But for me, that night became bigger than basketball. And by the end of that game, something unexpected had happened. You know, as I said, I didn't, and I still don't even fully understand basketball. But I got emotionally invested anyway in the spirit, the energy, the momentum shifts, the people around me who had so much vested in it. Cheering with a crowd, I felt that tension. Watching people around me leap to their feet because the game meant something to them. And maybe that's part of what happens when we allow ourselves to enter unfamiliar spaces with curiosity instead of judgment. Truth is, I could have stayed home. I mean, is it the world going to change because I've gone to a Phoenix Mercury game? I could have decided basketball isn't my thing because I'll be honest with you, the one Suns game, the men's NBA team here in Phoenix I went to, these guys just running up and down, and honestly, I didn't have an idea what was going on half the time. I will tell you, I found women's basketball a little more approachable because they don't move quite as fast. It's easier to understand what's happening because it moves just a little bit slower. There's a little bit more humanity to it. I don't know. That's probably not the right word. But either way, yeah, I'm not going to become a basketball player. Highly improbable at this point in my life. But I can enjoy going to the games. And if I get another invitation to go to a Mercury game, sign me up, coach. I already have a purple shirt ready to wear. And I could have missed the entire experience because I didn't already understand the rules. And I still don't. I still don't understand all the terminology, as you've heard. And I still don't understand all the culture surrounding it. But if I hadn't gone, I would have missed out on the energy, the glamour, the laughter, the connection, the storytelling, and the humanity of it all. I wouldn't have met this fascinating woman who was sitting to my left. I wouldn't have gotten to know the designer that I was seated with. It was fun. And your life can expand every time you stop requiring yourself to already be an expert before you even begin. I've said it before, I'll say it again. The wonderful bucket list life isn't about mastering everything. As a matter of fact, it's not about mastering anything. It's about staying curious enough to keep saying yes. Say yes to rooms you don't fully understand yet. Say yes to experiences that make you feel like a beginner. Say yes with humility and say yes with openness, because the bucket list life is not a list of things you're going to do before you die. It's a list of things that keep expanding your life and giving it value. And I want that for you. I want it for me too, but I want to share it. Because you know what? There is enough happiness out there for everyone. There is enough to be curious about. There's a lot out there. And take care not to there goes the tongue again. Take care not to mock what matters to others and maybe matters deeply. Because there's a difference between arrogance and curiosity. And that's an important distinction. Arrogance walks into a room assuming there is nothing to learn. There's always something to learn. And curiosity walks into a room understanding there is always something to discover. And there is always something to discover. You don't have to be an expert on everything. Final word on that. Be brave enough to participate in life before you fully understand all of it. Just welcome to the wonderful bucket list life. And until next week, stay hydrated, stay curious. Oh, and please share this message with somebody, because I bet you know somebody who needs to hear it. And sharing that message with them is another way to build connection. Have a discussion about it and build curiosity. I challenge you to do that in the next week. And next week, we'll talk about something else. Until then, bye-bye. Like what you heard here today? Then we should be friends. I suggest you join my Facebook group. It's a good way to connect. We can have a conversation, ask me questions, whatever you want to do. It is called the Wonderful Bucket List Life. That's Wonder-Full Bucket List Life. Be a bucket lister and join me on this adventure. Or you can go to my webpage, which is Wonder Wendy and Friends, join the mailing list, learn about the book I wrote, adventures that are coming up in the future, and other podcasts. I look forward to talking to you soon, and stay hydrated. Have a great day.